Okay, so in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about my editing process. So when I finish the first draft of a novel, I immediately go back to the beginning and start rewriting it. Or not rewriting, excuse me, start reading over it. Um, so what you're looking at here is the second, um, basically the second draft of The Singularity Rising. I'm going through scene by scene, reading everything, making sure everything lines up. Um, Now, I'm just going to go ahead and start, reading like normal. It may be a little boring, but when I find something, I'll talk to you about why I'm changing it. So this right here, he leaned over it, staring into the metal basin. Just doesn't. A lot of this is feeling, but it didn't feel right. It felt too rushed, maybe. Whenever I see this, ending with "of," I always think about changing it because I don't even, to be honest, I'm horrible with technicalities of grammar. Um, kind of by a certain point, you've either learned how to use your native language or you haven't. For the most part, I've learned how to use it, but I can't name anything. So I can't tell you what "of" is, preposition, whatever, I don't know. But shouldn't really end sentences in that, but at the same time, it's how people talk. So while it crosses my mind to delete that, I usually leave those type of things in. Right here, so I say, and understood it was driven out of both love and fear. This is a passive sentence. Um, so when I see these, I normally try to fix them. So now it says, and understood both love and fear drove it. It's much more active. So this sentence here is not the end of the world, though. If you stay visible, it will probably be the end of yours. Uh, when I write this, I don't fully understand all the characters until I get deeper and deeper into the novel, and that's really a sentence that Charlie wouldn't say. He's a much more caring individual, and it doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. You got to think about it a little bit to understand what he's referring to, and he's referring to back in the earlier part of the conversation, telling Tom that he's got to leave his house. It's just an email up there. I subscribe to a lot of book promotional services just so I can see what type of books are being promoted. So there, I changed that. It's more in line with the character who Charlie is, and it makes more sense. I don't like this word. It's too like a cloud. The cloud, right? It's a pretty big. Everything's in the cloud now, but it's too current of a word, so I'm trying to think of something that will make sense but isn't, I don't know, kind of in the zeitgeist right now, or whatever word you want to use for it. So this Lexi told them things would happen outside of their control. I'm trying to think of how to explain why that doesn't work. I mean, it works, but it's not the best sentence. And a lot of people would read my sentence probably and say none of them are the best sentence, but I try to do the best that I can. And I normally try to go for simplicity in sentences. Now this is an example of me going for more complexity. I added words. But if you think about it hard enough, you can make it simpler. So I think that's more active. It's putting the onus on they, on them. This word right here, rise, it's a very important word. And so I'm going back through and making sure it's capitalized anytime I see it. I don't like the word class because Lexi isn't creating classes here. I don't want to pause in that sentence. Sorry for me sniffing, my nose is running. I'm sure that's great in your ears. Alright, so that's kind of an overall look at my editing process. It's fairly simple, but there's a lot that goes into it. It's not that you can just sit down and write and then think that that's ready to go out. I mean, outside of the typos that make it through multiple versions of manuscript, you always want to look at the sentences as closely as possible and make sure that they're simple. I believe in simplicity, and that it's saying what you want to say. I think that's really the most important part. Is that sentence conveying the message that you want to? All right, thanks a lot.